Another cold night on the way, especially for northeastern portions of Keloland, where low temperatures fall into the single digits and even near zero in a couple of areas. Elsewhere, we're looking at teens and 20s, maybe even a couple of flurries as well along the North Dakota border. But beyond that, we are mainly quiet. For your day on Tuesday, we try to warm up a bit in a couple of areas. 40s, that's a step in the right direction. Unless you're up in the northeast, you're stuck in the 20s to low 30s. We'll talk about the rest of your 7-day forecast, all coming up in a bit. But until then, First at 4 starts right now.
Live from Keloland Media Group, Keloland News First at 4.
Coming up, we have the latest on a shooting at a private school in Nashville that left several kids and adults dead.
Plus, it's Veto Day at the Capitol in Pierre as lawmakers decide whether to revive several bills that the governor vetoed this session.
And later, construction season is starting across Keloland. How to make sure the roads are safe for workers. Good afternoon, and thanks for tuning in to First at 4. I'm Don Jorgensen.
And I'm Kelly Volk. 3 students and 3 adults have been killed in a mass shooting at a private Christian school in Nashville, Tennessee.
And police say that they engaged the suspect, a heavily armed woman in her 20s, who is also dead. Dallas Parker with our sister station has the latest.
7 deaths have been confirmed here at the Covenant School after an active shooter situation. That shooter, though, police were able to find and shoot and kill before any other students or teachers were injured in this situation. Police tell us the shooter was a 28-year-old woman who they have not yet identified just yet, but she was said to have 2 assault-style rifles as well as a handgun when she entered this school you see behind me. Before police arrived, that shooter, of course, who has not yet been identified, had shot those 3 staff members and 3 students. The department tells us they got the call regarding an active shooter situation at around 10:13 this morning, and they had people en route to the school before 10:30. That said, the police officers, 5 people, a team of 5 officers, entered the school, found the suspect, shot and killed her before 10:27 a.m. Again, that call 10:13. The shooting of the suspect happened at 10:27 a.m. So those officers had a prompt response to this school-related shooting here. During a news conference, a spokesperson for the department did say they believe the woman entered the building on a side door and walked up to the 2nd floor of the school where she began to fire shots. Now, one of the victims was pronounced dead here on the scene. Another 5 victims were taken to Vanderbilt University Medical Center where they were pronounced dead at the hospital. Right now, police investigators are looking into any connections between the suspected shooter and the school here in Nashville. Of course, they haven't provided much of an update as to that just yet, but they are scheduled to provide updates throughout the day for more information about what took place here at the Covenant School. For now, reporting in Nashville, I'm Dallas Parker. Back to you.
And Nashville police say that the tragedy unfolded over roughly 14 minutes, and they're now examining video from the campus.
Several Canadian Pacific trains cars derailed in North Dakota, with some spilling hazardous material. The crash happened Sunday near Windmere, which is about 30 miles from the South Dakota border. 31 cars derailed, with some leaking petroleum used to make asphalt. At this time, authorities say there is no danger to the public. Canadian Pacific says its hazardous material experts are on scene along with local authorities to assess the situation. Crews say it could take 7 to 10 days to clean up the mess. Well, this comes as lawmakers in communities around the country question railroad safety following the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Just last week, the CEO of Norfolk Southern returned to Capitol Hill to face more questions on the railroad's safety record. Since the toxic train derailment, Ohio senators have joined forces on a bipartisan Railway Safety Act to enforce tougher regulations.
Well, winter made a return to Nebraska this morning. These are just a few pictures from the Department of Transportation cameras along I-80 near Sidney, Nebraska, on the western side of the state. The troopers said that they were wondering where spring went.
Well, it sounds like it's winter in western Keloland, too.
And it sounds like winter's not going to be done with us for a while.
Oh, boy. What do you have to say, Adam?
Can I not say anything at the risk of self-incrimination? That's really the best I can do, because we are not really getting anything sustainable for spring anytime soon. Some glimpses, yes, but nothing that sticks around for more than a day or two in a couple of areas. And even then, not everybody gets in on it. We did have a decent day, though, in a couple of areas of Keloland, like toward Watertown, for example. 23 degrees in Cottington County with some sunshine. Again, not bad. North wind at 11 miles per hour. And then we get reminded that winter is not going down without a fight as we take a look at Terry Peak with some light snow. 19 degrees in lead right now with a northeast wind at 4 miles per hour, with skiers and snowboarders getting in on some late season activities. 32 in Pierre right now, 27 Mobridge to Faith, Spearfish in Rapid City, 29 as you head toward Pine Ridge. Meanwhile, 21 toward Aberdeen and Sisseton, 35 Yankton, but 40 in Spencer. 40 is as good as it gets, though, on the map, though. And, well, that's just basically been the trend over the last several days. At best, we've been getting into the low 40s in a couple of areas. There's the snow in portions of Oglala, Dakota County, and then toward the central and southern hills as well, where they have a winter weather advisory in place until 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time this evening. This includes the Hill City and Custer areas. Be mindful of slick roads and at times poor visibility as well. We could see several more inches of accumulating snowfall before that gradually tapers off, and then we get a small break. Meanwhile, for the day tomorrow, I mentioned we have a few glimpses of spring now and again. We could see some 50s toward Wagner and Yankton, something that we haven't seen in Sioux Falls yet. We'll be at 45 tomorrow, but 30s up toward Brookings and Marshall, and it only gets worse from there as you head north of Highway 14. 30 for Watertown tomorrow, 28 in Aberdeen, and it'll be a little bit breezy as well. Meanwhile, to the west, it depends on what side of I-90 you're on. To the north, we're in the 20s and 30s. South of the interstate, 40s to near 50. We do have a few more milder days to talk about, but we have a couple of bumps on the way, including a very interesting late week outlook. We'll talk about that coming up.
All right. Thanks a lot, Adam. It was a short veto day at the South Dakota Capitol. In less than an hour, both the House and Senate voted to sustain Governor Kristi Noem's vetoes on 4 bills. All are now considered dead. Lawmakers only considered overriding vetoes on 4 of the 5 bills that vetoed by the governor. This session, Noem signed 209 bills into law. You can read our blog from Veto Day on KELOLAND.com.
Last week, Iowa lawmakers passed legislation that banned kids and teens from gender-affirming care and using bathrooms of the gender they identify as. In Sioux City, community members and Siouxland Pride Alliance held a vigil in opposition to the anti-trans legislation signed into law by Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. The event was a way of supporting and healing members of the local trans community, and many in the congregation came up to speak about their story and how these laws affect their family.
She's just presenting as her prepubescent self, going to the little girl's room because that's where little girls go to the bathroom. And now, because of the act of our legislature and the cowardice of our governor, that child is in danger. We have children all over the state in danger. And that is unconscionable.
Governor Reynolds said she met with transgender students and their families before she signed the bill into law.
Well, should more children have the right to work? That question spurred a bill in the Iowa State House rolling back child labor laws. But a crowd outside the Capitol believes that those kids should stay in school. Lawmakers and community leaders shared their concerns that the bill, if passed, would allow kids as young as 14 to work 6-hour night shifts during the school year. It would also allow 16 and 17-year-olds to serve alcohol and for children as young as 15 to work on assembly lines. The people against the bill say that there are better ways to fill in the holes of Iowa's workforce.
I would like this bill to go away, and I would like to say, you know what, instead of trying to put kids to work, why don't we pay adults better? Why don't we make sure adults get better benefits? You know, make sure that adults have jobs with a pension so that someone says, yep, that's why I became a union member.
Lawmakers will likely debate the bill soon since it passed through both the House and Senate committees earlier this month.
A trial begins today in Minnesota against Juul and its parent company. The state believes the e-cigarette and tobacco companies engaged in consumer fraud, negligence, and created a public nuisance while hooking a generation of kids on nicotine. Minnesota was one of 19 states to sue the tobacco retailers. The lawsuit came after a 2019 study found more than 25% of Minnesota 11th graders vaped regularly. The case is set to last for 3 weeks. After the break, what to expect this week from a grand jury